Welcome to the Explainer, the rules and everything for the 64 bourbons under $100.
Yep, everything you guys have been asking about the series, you're like, I don't know how we got here.
Yep.
This is the video where we're going to talk to you about it. And look, there all the bourbons are right there.
The 64 under 100 are right behind us here.
Which
so
is one of the rules.
Talk about how we got those bottles.
So instead of us deciding what goes into this, we wanted to ask you. We put out some polls, got your all's votes, and used those polls and the results to rank and seed our bourbons in every category. The under 25, 25 to 50, 50 to 75, and 75 to 100, which eventually became the 75 to 100 plus some wild cards.
Right, the wild cards, which goes to the seeding. So the way the seeding worked was the bourbon, I'm going to take the 25 and under category, the bourbon that received the most votes, that got the number 1 seed. The bourbon that got the 16th most votes became the 16th seed, right?
Now you might be saying, well, is that necessarily fair? Maybe you should have matched up things that were closer in proof, or like if something was double oaked, you should have matched it up with another double oaked. We don't want to put any of our bias into this, so we just went, if it's good enough for sports, national sports, then it's good enough for us.
Right. Now, the 75 to 100, that's an area where there became some holes, and I think it's because a lot of in that price category became, limited releases, allocated, hard to find, which went against our rules. So we ended up with about half of that bracket full. So we decided, well, how are we gonna load this up with some other bourbons? And there became the seeding.
Yep, so those higher seeded things that got voted into other categories but didn't make it in because of our rules, which we'll get to in a second, we then decided instead of just shoehorning in a bunch of stuff that we could find that's between $75 and $100 that no one voted on, let's break our rules a little bit, we'll bend them, we'll stretch them. We want to show you guys what you want to see in this series. So let's talk about how those things ended up there and what the rules actually are. Okay,
so the rules, we didn't want to front load any categories, again, like for example, 25 and under, we didn't want to front load it with Jim Beam.
Right.
Because they have so many expressions that are under $25. So initially we said only one expression per distillery. Now we bent that also because there's different mash bills from different distilleries, so we kind of by a case-by-case basis allowed other things in.
It quickly became clear that it wasn't going to work out by implementing such a strict rule.
Right. Had to loosen that.
Loosen it a little bit.
And what that made us end up with was some very highly voted on bourbons, but because we were still restricting where it made sense, they didn't make it into their bracket. So then we had these highly voted bourbons that we could then sprinkle into the $75 to $100 category.
A couple other rules that we had is that they have to be bourbons. If we open this up to rye and American whiskeys, this bracket is already huge, right? So they have to be bourbons, and they can be finished so long as it is only in an additional oak barrel.
Right.
So no rum casks, no wine casks, et cetera, et cetera.
So double oaks or, twice barreled, as long as it's another, newly charred bourbon barrel, we're keeping it to bourbon, it's in.
The SRP also has to be under $100, and that's for a 750 milliliter bottle. And it has to be reasonably readily available. So if you walked out into the store today, the chances are high, again, depending on your area, and you all voted for these. So if you have questions on some of them, blame
you voted for them.
I don't know.
Yeah, and we told people, hey, if you don't want to see this, make the way up the ranks, then don't vote for it. That was pretty. We're pretty explicit about that.
The example I'm thinking of is anything from the Weller line. But if you voted for it and you wanted to see it, we put it in.
Yep.
Because it is produced year round and it is in theory readily available.
In places.
And SRP falls in our category.
Yes.
In places.
Yes.
We did put it in. Now, some of you might be like, well, where's my favorite Elijah Craig Barrel Proof? Why is that not in here? That's a 3 times a year release.
Yes.
Each one is limited number of
bottles. And a
bottles.
separate batch amongst that.
Exactly.
Just like why Booker's didn't make it.
Right. Anything that was limited or allocated in that way was immediately, we want to find the best readily available under $100.
Yeah. Now again, originally we said one contender per distillery. We quickly learned that wasn't going to work, so we did a case-by-case basis. Things that were different mash bills from the same distillery, we would include and so forth. And then we also originally had the rule that it had to be a producing distillery. That also changed. Now we did keep it to where it has to be transparent where that non-distilling producer gets their juice, and then it went to the rule of, well, let's say if it's MGP, we're not going to have a bunch of MGPs in here.
Right.
It had to be one.
Unless they are blended in different mash bills. If
Right.
it's a proprietary blend and or a double oaked finish and different mash bills, then you've transformed it in some way, and so it's not just straight up, right, MGP, aka Ross and Squibb, is the one that's
Right.
on the top of all of our minds.
Right.
We don't want to put a bunch of those in here just to have a bunch of MGP going up against each other.
Exactly.
All right, so how are we keeping track of all of this? We have a very high-tech system.
Ooh, yeah.
All 64 of our bourbons are poured into these tiny sample bottles. And what we have done is we've matched them up according to their seeds. They are marked on the bottom with what they are, but then we've color-coded them by category. So that way we can keep them paired together. We won't necessarily know mixed around in in their little bins. We won't
Yes.
know which pair we're
Yeah.
pulling at any given time. We'll just know the category. So it helps keep it as blind as we can make it while also still allowing you all to follow along and do
Right.
your brackets.
So when we get them all together, we'll do this. So it's not, whatever. I'll do this, and Sarah will come along.
little mix.
We'll move them around.
Although they can only be mixed up so much because there's only two.
It's a 50-50. So when we pull one, we know we've got a pair. We will put a sticker that says A, stick on this bottle, put a sticker that says B. Then our glasses are marked A and B. We pour, and then that's just how we go from there. And then once we pick a winner, then we turn those bottles over, announce the winner, and say who did not advance. But you guys will be seeing that on screen.
You'll
already,
see it.
but
Yeah.
So Sarah, I guess the last thing to talk about is why we're doing this.
Well, I mean, we just, not to pat ourselves on the back too much, but we did just cross our 100K subscribers milestone on YouTube. I don't think that's somewhere that either of us ever thought that we would get. When we started almost 7 years ago with our very first video, which
Yeah.
was a bracket style video. We
Yeah.
were on a quest then too.
Yeah, we thought that would be the way to start with a bang. 50 bourbons, under $25.
A different time.
A different time. Now, yeah, bottles from that have been discontinued, prices have gone up, availability has changed. We've sort of updated them over the years. 64 bourbons under $30. We did 64 under $50. Now 64 under 100, and also doing it broken out into price category, the four quadrants, if you will.
The quads.
We will have a winner of 25 and below, 50, 25 to 50, 50 to 75, and 75 to 100. But it's really, anyone could win it all.
I mean,
Like a $25 and under could take the crown.
they could. I mean, we'll get into the predictions in the next video.
Yeah.
I think that that's kind of a funny one to walk through, and I'd like to explain my choices a little bit, okay,
Sure.
before you attack me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we just really wanted to kind of go back to where we started, full circle.
A good way to celebrate our 100K subs.
I mean, and who doesn't want to taste 64 bourbons?
Take it all the way back to 2016.
Take it all the way back. Rewind.
Yeah. So I guess hopefully
I
we
hope that
explained
explains
everything.
it.
If you have questions, leave them in the comments and we'll try to answer them. We're going to now film another video that you can go watch that gets into both of our predictions. We filled out our brackets.
Go check it out.
So we'll see you then. Till then, drink more bourbon.